Alright, today we're making healthy, high protein meatballs in a homemade sauce. So there's also enoki mushrooms in there that I added because I just had them spare. And I guess they can be kind of like spaghetti. But anyways, yeah, this is just some lean beef. To be honest, this is a pretty high protein meal, and I think all my recipes from now on will be like healthy, high protein, and cheap. So this is pretty cheap. So yeah, you just get some mince. You want it ideally lean, but if you want to get the fattier one, that's up to you. But obviously it'll be more calories and it'll be higher, like less in protein. But yeah, and then you want to dice some onions up. And onions is a pretty big part of the dish. First of all, because onions, they give flavor, but also they tenderize meat if you marinate it long enough. If you dice up onions, the enzymes in the onions will break down the meat and make it more tender. Yeah, so with these meatballs, we're gonna make a sauce, and the sauce is gonna be homemade because I don't have any canned tomatoes. I don't have any tin sauce, so you gotta just make do with what you got. But I got these tomatoes, these cherry tomatoes. Anyways, you have to another part of the step that tenderizes the meat a lot is if you get bread and you just break it up and you put some milk and you mash up the bread in the milk and you just let it soak all the milk up. Once you put it in the meat and you mix it up, it makes the meatballs really tender. I'm actually not too sure why this one does, but just trust me, it does. But yeah, the sauce we just made, I'm gonna make with cherry tomatoes because, yeah, to be fair, canned tomatoes probably are ideal, but I don't have canned tomatoes, and if you cut cherry tomatoes and cook them, they basically do the same thing. It just takes a little bit longer. But yeah, so add as much milk as you need or you don't need, and just make sure you mash it up. Yeah, and with the enoki mushrooms, I added enoki mushrooms, but you can add anything, If you have any leftover spinach, put it in the sauce. It'll be pretty good. If you have any bok choy, for example, put it in. Any vegetables you have, carrots, anything, as long as they cook in time. But yeah, now I'm just dicing up some more onions. You want to dice up lots, half an onion, I would say, for a one-person serving, because we're gonna sweat these onions down in a pan later on. And that's some minced garlic in the bowl. Yeah, so I like to put all my stuff in separate dishes, so when it comes to cooking, it's just easier. And bowls, small bowls don't take that long to wash up anyway, so it's not like you have loads of cleaning up to do. Yeah, recently I was thinking maybe I'll put all the ingredients in the caption along with the price and the nutritional value of each ingredient rather than just the whole dish. But I feel like that'd be a lot of work and it'd take time. But yeah. Anyways, I let the bread soak for around 10-15 minutes, and then you mix it all in. I don't know why I use a fork, you could use your hand. Oh yeah, I use my hand. But yeah, I could put separate ingredients down, and so it kind of proves that I'm not lying about the calories or the cost of my dish. But different countries have different prices for groceries. So I don't know if it seems to come down or not. I added some garlic into my meatball mixture. And a tip I would have with minced garlic is I peel a lot of garlic and I mince it all at one go. With this this blender machine I have. And then with that I can just bag it up like that and then break it up into squares. So I have minced garlic on the go. Because mincing garlic actually takes a long time. A long time. And you season the meatballs with salt, pepper, and if you have any fresh herbs, use fresh herbs. But I didn't, so you gotta make do with what you got. So I had some dried basil and some dried oregano, and I used that, and pepper, of course. Yeah, so now that we move on to the gnocchi mushrooms, if you have some and you want to prep some, yeah, listen to this. All you got to do is split it up. And the thing with the gnocchi mushrooms, like a rookie mistake people will do, is they try to split up every single strand of the mushrooms. Don't do that, because it makes the mushrooms really, like, once you cook them, it'll make them really soggy. You want to split them up into little groups of that and then cook them that way, rather than if they were completely separate, because then they become soggy, tangled, and it's just not a good experience. Anyways, now with the tomatoes, you want to cut them into quarters, because you want them to have the largest surface area. Because we want them to cook pretty quickly, and if you keep them whole, then obviously it's going to take a while to cook. Yeah, I also do a time lapse, so that's a first. But yeah, you'll see that in a bit. Yeah, once you cut the tomatoes, you want to add salt, because salt breaks down the tomatoes and extracts the liquid out of them, which you want when you make the sauce to cook the meatballs in. So yeah, add salt, shake them around, and leave them for a bit, and the salt should penetrate and take the moisture out. And now with the meatballs, you want to, if you're going to cook them in the sauce, you want to make them big enough that they're still meatballs, but small enough that they can be cooked throughout. And you don't only have to cook them in the sauce, you can cook them in the air fryer, the oven, a frying pan, whatever you have. I cook them in the sauce and the air fryer, just to show that it's possible to do both. But yeah, they should be around that kind of size. Yeah, so the next thing you want to do is heat up some olive oil preferably over anything else, because it goes well with this type of Italian food. And you want to put the heat relatively high, but only just to heat up the oil to make it faster in cooking. And then, yeah, once you heat up the oil, you want to make sure to place your onion and garlic, make sure that we made before, into it, and you want to sweat it down. When you like sweat it down, when I say sweat it down, I don't mean like caramelize or anything. I just mean like make the onion so it looks translucent almost. And you want to add salt, because you want to season throughout. Make sure to season throughout. So once you incorporate all your ingredients, you want to sweat out, get all their flavors together, and you want to adjust the heat accordingly. So if it's bubbling, turn it down obviously. If it's not, turn it up. also make sure to add water throughout. If it feels like there's no water, like there's no moisture to the sauce, because at the end of the day, it isn't a stir fry or anything, it's a sauce. So you gotta make sure there's adequate water. And make sure you squeeze the tomatoes against the side of the pan, if possible, because then it becomes mushier. I mean, you can always put the stuff in the blender, but I feel like it's more work and it's just not worth it. Plus, I like my soups to have like stuff inside them. So yeah, you see how I keep my hand on the knob to adjust the heat accordingly. That's a pretty good tip. Just it lets you have more control over your cooking. But yeah, once it heats up, it should thicken up because the water's evaporating. But then you just want to incorporate more water and make sure you season. I just use dried herbs, but if you have fresh basil, that would go really nicely. But I don't have fresh basil. Okay, so now we incorporate the meatballs and the sauce. Once it's all thickened up and it's all the chunks of the tomatoes have disintegrated. But yeah, I used the smaller meatballs to put in the sauce because I wanted them to cook through. Because obviously you don't want raw meatballs. But then the bigger ones I put in the air fryer, which I'll show you later. And to be honest, when you cook meatballs in the sauce, they're actually good because they're like really tender. When you cook meatballs in sauce, it's a lot more tender compared to like air fryer or oven or pan. That's just because I think the flavors soak up in the meat when you cook them, and they taste pretty good as well. But if you want a more like charred and like crispy meatball, then yeah, put it in the air fryer, oven or pan. But yeah, you just kind of want to let them rest for like around 5 to 10 minutes, depending on how big they are. Yeah, and here I just have some frozen parsley or coriander. Yeah, it was good to be fair, but yeah, it looks kind of bad. Now that I look at it, yeah, it looks very ghetto. Damn. But, and then you just want to mix it up. And when you mix it up, make sure you don't smash the meatballs. So you got to be gentle with the mixing. But then that's kind of how you know they're done. Like when you're mixing later on, and the meatballs feel firm and less like they're gonna break, then you kind of know they're starting to become done. Yeah, you should get them boiling, because when you cook meat, you don't want it to be like a simmering sauce. You want it to be a boiling sauce. Yeah, that's what they look like close up. They actually look really good. I actually kind of like the coriander. I gave it a bit of freshness, a bit of greenness. Now at this stage, if you want to add in any leafy greens or enoki mushrooms in my case, anything that cooks quickly and you don't want it to overcook, you want to add it in now once you know the meatballs are cooked. That way it just gives them like an extra 2 minutes to cook, just in case they aren't, even though you think they are cooked. And also it just cooks your vegetables for you. But yeah, I think adding enoki mushrooms was good in terms of taste, because it was kind of like noodles, like adding noodles to meatballs. But at the same time, it didn't look the best when I plated it because it looked out of place. But it did taste quite good, to be fair, because it soaked up the sauce. But yeah, close-up shots. So those meatballs I'm putting on are the air fried meatballs. They were really good actually. They were just as good, if not better, because they have like a different taste, a different texture as well, a more charred taste. But yeah, overall, I think the meal turned out amazing. And it's relatively low cost and it's healthy. high protein, low in calories. And always I'll put the calories and the price in the description of the video, or just in the video.